Welcome to the video tutorial for super textured waffle stitch fingerless gloves. These gloves are loaded with texture, have a beautiful design, warm and cozy with a stretchy and snug cuff. We're going to be using pretty basic crochet stitches that I think pretty much anyone of any level can do. If you're ready, let's begin. Okay, to begin with, I'm using a 6.5 millimeter hook, and this is a Red Heart Super Saver yarn in Jade. It's just a number 4 worsted weight yarn, and it actually calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook. I always go up a size because I tend to crochet tightly, so I would recommend you using the size hook that your yarn calls for. But I'm using a 6.5 millimeter hook, and I've started with a slip knot. And what we're going to do to begin is we're just simply going to chain 31, because the glove part of this is worked in a rectangle that we'll sew together and then add the cuff. So go ahead and chain 31, and I will pick you up and show you how we're going to bring it back down. Okay, so here's my 31 chains. And what we're going to do is, normally, or most of the time, you just put a single crochet back down. We're going to put a double crochet in each chain back down. We don't need necessarily to have like a turning chain like you do sometimes. So just go ahead and in each chain stitch back down, place one double crochet. And we're going here for a stitch count of 30. So try to make them as evenly, the tension as even as possible, because this is going to be the top row of the glove. So go ahead, place one double crochet, each of these chain stitches back down, and I'll pick you up at the end. Okay, so here's my 30 double crochets back down that chain. If you get to the end and you only have 29 for some reason, you know me, I'm a no stress crocheter, just go ahead and put a second one in that end to make sure you get 30. Or if you have an extra chain, just don't worry about it. Just make sure you have 30 double crochets back down your chain. And I'm going to go ahead and count this as row 1. So we'll move on to row 2, where we will start our 2-row repeat. The glove is basically a 2-row repeat with a couple of rows that are a little bit different. So that's our row 1, and I'll see you for row 2. Okay, so for row 2, we'll go ahead and chain 1 and turn our work. We'll start row 2. This, like I said, is the first of a 2-row repeat. And then each row has a 3-stitch repeat. So let's start row 2. The beginning of every single row, we'll start with the double crochet in our first stitch. That's not really part of the repeat, but every row we'll start off with a double crochet. All right, the 3-stitch repeat on this row is a front post double crochet followed by 2 double crochets. So we'll put a front post double crochet in this first post, like so. And then in these next 2 stitches, we'll put a double crochet. Oops. Having a hard time holding on to my yarn for some reason. All right, so double crochet here. Double crochet in the next stitch. So our stitch sequence in this row is a front post double crochet, regular double crochet, regular double crochet. We'll do that all the way across. Let's do it again. Front post double crochet. I cannot hold on to this yarn. Front post double crochet here, followed by 2 double crochets. Not in the same stitch, but the next 2 stitches will each have 1 double crochet. I hope I'm not confusing you. One more time. Front post double crochet, followed by a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that's our stitch sequence for row 2. And you'll continue that all the way down your row. When we get to the end, it'll be a little bit different. But so front post double crochet, followed by 2 double crochets, all the way down, and I'll pick you up at the very end and show you how we handle the very end. Okay, I'm about to do my last sequence here of front post double crochet, and then a double crochet here, and a double crochet here. All right, we only have 2 stitches left. So what we do is you're going to do a front post double crochet in this last post here. And then you're going to place a double crochet in this very end piece. I always have a hard time getting it in there. So there's not room to do 2 double crochets on the end. We'll just do the front post, double crochet, and then the very last stitch is a regular double crochet. All right, so that's row 2. I hope you can see this. You can see how it's like a little bit indented here where it's double crochet, and it's raised where the front posts are. So that's row 2, and we'll be repeating that throughout the glove, and this row and the next row will be repeating throughout the glove. So that's row 2, and I'll see you for row 3. Okay, let's go ahead and chain 1 and turn to start our row 3. All right, and this will get to where you can really see it super easy as we go along, and you won't even have to think about it. To start row 3, we're going to put a double crochet in our first 2 stitches. Regular double crochet in our first 2 stitches. So there's 1 and 2. Okay, so our stitch repeat for this row, I don't know if you can quite see it yet, these 2 sticking up, we'll put 2 front post double crochets, 1 and 2, followed by 1 double crochet. It's kind of opposite of row 2. So the stitch sequence for row 3 is 2 front post double crochets. There's 1. Here's the second. Followed by a regular double crochet. And you'll do that all the way down. One more time. Like I said, this will just get to be so simple. You'll be able to see what you're doing because the pattern will start taking shape. 2 front post double crochets, followed by a regular double crochet. We'll do this all the way down. I'll pick you up at the end because the end's always a little bit different. So 2 front post double crochets, regular double crochet, all the way down, and I'll pick you up down here on the end. Okay, I'm fixing to do my last sequence where we've been doing 2 double crochets and 2 front post double crochets and a regular double crochet. I've got 4 stitches left. So to end row 3, we do our 2 front post double crochets like we've been doing. And we have 2 stitches left. We're going to put a double crochet in each of these last 2 stitches. So that's the only difference, is that you end with 2 double crochets instead of 1. And that's the end of row 3. So we're going, you can, if you flip it over, you can start to see the waffle shape taking place. We're going to be repeating rows 2 and 3 a couple of times until we get to our thumb row. So I will pick you up then for row 4. Okay, let's go ahead and chain and turn for row 4. So now it's getting easier to see the pattern that we're using. So for 4, 5, and 6, we'll repeat rows 2, and then row 3, and then row 2 again. So for row 4, we're actually using the sequence of row 2. And you can kind of see. Let's go ahead and do our first opening double crochet here. First time I did waffle stitch, I was kind of intimidated until I got into it a few rows, and then I was like, oh, you can see what you need to do. It's really very simple. So repeating the stitch sequence of row 2, which is the front post double crochet, followed by 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And you can see it here. See, here's the double crochet, or front post double crochet, the 2 double crochets in the middle, the other front post double crochet. So you're just going to follow that along. Front post double crochet, followed by 2 regular double crochets. We'll do this all the way down. Row 4, front post, 2 doubles, front post, 2 doubles, all the way down. And just like before, at the end of row 2, we get to the end, we finish off with a front post double crochet, and then you'll put a double crochet in this very end stitch. I'll pick you up here at the end. Okay, we're coming to the end of row 4, where we've been doing the double front post double crochet, followed by 2 double crochets. We're at the end, so we're going to finish off like we did on row 2. With this last post, we'll do a front post double crochet, but there's just 1 stitch left, so we just put a double crochet in this very end stitch here. Like that. Well, that's the end of row 4. So the little waffle shape is starting to take place. I hope you can see it from this angle. All right, that's the end of row 4. I'll see you for row 5. All right, let's go ahead and chain 1, turn our work. And maybe now you can kind of see what I was talking about. It just really shows you what to do. I'm just not sure if you can see it from this angle. Here's our first 2 double crochets. You can see the front post double crochets here, double crochet there. So we're repeating row 3. We put that first double crochet in to start our row, every row. We're going to place a second double crochet right there. Then we're going to start our sequence of 2 front post double crochet and a regular double crochet. So a front post, double crochet, a second front post double crochet, and then a double crochet, just like row 3 that we did before. So this row, 2 front post double crochets, regular double, 2 front post double crochets, regular double, all the way down, and I'll pick you up at the end of row 5. Okay, here we are at the end of row 5, where we've been doing the 2 front post double crochets, 1 double crochet. So I'm at my last sequence here. So here's a front post double crochet, another front post double crochet, and we have 2 stitches left, both of which will be a double crochet. There's 1, and then put 1 right here in the end I don't know why. I always have a hard time with that end stitch. Okay, so there's the end of row 5. This is the back side of the work. Flip it over and you can really see the waffle shape taking place. Maybe if I hold it like that. Alrighty, see you for row 6. Okay, so for row 6, we're going to be repeating row 2 one more time. So this will be the 3rd time we've done row 2. So I'll quickly go over it again because I know you've got it by now. We do this first double crochet like we do, and then our stitch repeat for row 6, which is the same as 2, is a front post double crochet, 2 double crochets. So I'll do it one time just to refresh. So we have a front post double crochet, and then that's followed by 2 regular old double crochets, just like that. So you'll do those 3, that sequence of 3 stitches, front post, double double, front post, double double, all the way down. When we get to the end, remember on this stitch sequence, you put a double front post double crochet in that last post, and then a double crochet in that end stitch. But I'll pick you up there to end out row 6. Okay, we're at the end of row 6 where we've been doing the 1 front post double crochet and 2 regular double crochets. So I'm at the end with my 2 stitches left. So it's just a front post double crochet. Still having trouble with this yarn. And you finish it off with just a double crochet in this end stitch. Okay. So that's the end of our first 6 rows. You can really see the waffle taking shape. So rows 7 and 8 that we're getting ready to do will be for our thumb slit row. So that's just a little tiny bit different. So I'll see you for those. Okay, row 7, like I said, is where we are going to start a place for our thumb. We're repeating row 3 in our sequence of alternating rows 2 and 3. We're on row 3, and this is row 7. So what we're going to do, start off regularly with the first 4 stitches, 2 double crochets, and then 2 front post double crochets. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're starting row 7 just like every other time that we've used row 3 as our guide. So there's the first 2 double crochets, followed by these 2 front post double crochets. So just the first 4 stitches of this row 3 sequence. Okay, so now we need a place for our thumb. Super simple. All we're going to do is chain 4, just straight out from where you are, chain 4. Then we have to skip 4 stitches. So double crochet, 2 front post double crochets, and double crochet. Those are the 4 we're going to skip. We'll pick back up with this next set of 2 front post double crochets. So go ahead and do that, and that'll just start us right back in our stitch sequence. And then it'll leave us a little place for our thumb as well. Can't get it in there. So there's 1 front post double crochet, 2nd front post double crochet, and our regular double crochet for our stitch sequence. So what we've done, we did the first 4 stitches, 2 double crochets, 2 front post double crochets. We chained 4, then we had to skip 4 stitches and picked back up with the 2 double crochets and double crochet. So now you're back on the regular stitch sequence for this row, which is the 2 front post double crochets. Once again, 1 and 2, followed by the regular double crochet. So go ahead and finish off the row with that sequence, 2 front post double crochets followed by a double, all the way down. I'll pick you up at the end just to finish off row 7. All right, we're at the end of row 7. Just to refresh how we end this row, I'm on the last sequence with my 2 front post double crochets, like this, and then we have 2 stitches left. So we're going to put a double crochet in both of these last stitches here. Yarn. So end it with 2 front post double crochets and 2 regular double crochets. All right, so that's row 7 where we have our little thumb row. Now in my written instructions, I have the alternating instructions for row 7 and 8 for the right hand. This glove is for your left hand, and it really doesn't matter. It just is where the seam falls. So I've got in my written instructions how to do it so that your thumb is going to be on the other side. So that's the end of row 7. I'll pick you up for row 8. Okay, so for row 8, doing our alternating, we're going to repeat row 2, but we have this thumb opening down here we're going to have to deal with in a very, very simple way. So we're going to go ahead and work row 8 as if we're doing row 2, starting with our double crochet at the beginning like we always do. And then this sequence, if you remember, is a front post double crochet followed by 2 double crochets. And we're going to work that 3-stitch sequence. That's so hard for me to say. For the first 22 stitches until we get down to that thumb opening. So you can either count your stitches until you get to number 22, or, I mean, it's really simple to see where you are. So finish that sequence, front post, followed by 2 doubles, first 22 stitches until you get down to where we start this thumb opening. And it'll be 2 front post and then 2 double crochets. So go down to that point, that last set of 2 double crochets, and I'll pick you up for the thumb row, the thumb opening. Okay, we're working on row 8. We've done the first 22 stitches following our sequence of row 2 with the front post double crochet and then 2 double crochets. We did our first 22 stitches, which took us down to this thumb opening. So 21 and 22 were these 2 double crochets following that front post. So now here we are at this chain opening. All we're going to do is do 4 double crochets around these chains to make up for those 4 skip stitches. So just regular double crochets, 4 of them around these chains. So that's 2, 3, and 4. Then we just will pick back up in our sequence, which happens to be 2 more double crochets. So go ahead and do those, and then I'll show you how that looks because it's way different. So there's double crochet, double crochet. We might as well finish this row off since we're at the end. Front post around that last post, and a double crochet in the very, very end to cram it in there. So just the way it falls, you actually end up having 8 double crochets in a row. You have these 2 that you end when you came up to the thumb opening, the 2 double crochets there, the 4 across the chain stitches, and then the next stitches in our sequence were the 2 double crochets. So you have 8 double crochets there. Don't think you've done something wrong. That's the way it's supposed to look. All right, that's the end of row 8. And our next several rows, we're going to zip through because no more thumb openings, no more special stuff. We're just going to alternate rows 2 and 3 a few more times. So I'll pick you up for row 9. Okay, so for rows 9 through 16, we're going to be alternating our rows 2 and 3 again. Row 9, we're going to do a repeat of row 3. All of this is going to be written down in the video and on the written instructions. So I'm not going to video each of these rows because it's just a repeat of what we've done. I'll go ahead and start you on row 9, which again is a repeat of row 3. That starts with the 2 double crochets at the beginning. 1 and 2. And then our stitch sequence of 2 double crochets, 2 front post double crochets followed by a regular double crochet. So you just do that across this opening here. So 2 front post double crochets, 1 and 2. Now we're at that thumb opening with our other doubles. We do 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, continue our stitch sequence, 2 front post double crochets. We're working across this weird thumb double crochet thing, followed by a regular double crochet. Now you're back to the regular stuff. We've made it across the thumb. So continue on row 9, 2 double crochets, front post double crochets, 1 regular, 2 front post, 1 regular, to the end. And like I said, for 9 through 16, we're alternating our rows 2 and 3. Row 9 is 3, so row 10 is 2. And you'll just alternate those until you get through row 16. And again, it's written down in the video here, and it's written on the written instructions. So we're doing row 9, which is row 3. Row 10 will be row 2. Row 11 will be row 3, and so on until you get to the end of 16. So go ahead and do those. We've repeated them enough now that I know that you can just whip right through these. And I'll pick you up somewhere in the middle of maybe 12 or 13. So I'll see you for that. Okay, I had said I was going to pick you up around row 12 or 13 to show you how it was looking, and I kind of got carried away. I've gone through row 15 and I'm getting ready to start 16. But I wanted to give you a visual of how it should be looking. This is rows 1 through 15. I'm getting ready to do 16. So just a little check-in so you can see my work and see, I'm sure yours looks just like this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do row 16, which is a repeat of row 2. I'll pick you up at the end of row 16 because we're going to start switching stuff up a little bit. So see you at the end of row 16. Okay, I'm at the end of row 16, working my last few stitches here. I'm on the front post double crochet, followed by 2 regular double crochets. 1 and 2. And then you remember we're following our row 2 sequence. So this last post, we do a front post double crochet and end it with a double crochet in this last stitch right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. All right, so this basically is going to be our glove. We'll be attaching the cuff in a sec. Now, if y'all have watched any of my other fingerless glove videos, you know I've never done one like this before where you do a rectangle and then hook it together. I always do things in the round. But I could not figure out how to do this waffle stitch in the round. Tried a million different ways. If anybody knows how, please let me know in the comments. This is the only way I could do it. So what we need to do is turn this rectangle into the glove. So this is the right side. Obviously, this is where the waffles are. This is the right side. We'll put our right sides together. And you can either take your hook and the yarn that you're already, attached here and just slip stitch your seam together. You can do it that way, or you can use a darning needle, which is what I'm going to do. I've done it with the hook and just slip stitch, and it's fine. But you want to make sure that you get a nice, tight, close seam on this because it's a glove and it is going to be stretching over your hand, so you don't want any gaps or anything. So either way you want to do it, with your hook and slip stitch or with a darning needle. I'm using the darning needle, so I'm going to have to cut a nice long tail to make sure I have enough. And then I'm just going to go in and out with my darning needle and make sure it's really tight. So let's go ahead and attach our seam here. And then we will get started on one more row in the round and then do our cuff. So see you for that. Okay, so I have, with my darning needle, attached my two sides into a seam. I made it nice and tight. So now we turn it back to right side out so you can see that pretty waffle stitch. And here it is. That's our thumb opening. This is the top. This is the bottom. We have one more row that we're going to work with our 6.5 millimeter hook, or whichever hook you're using. So what I want you to do is find that seam. I think that's my seam, yeah. And we're going to have to reattach our yarn. So as close to the seam as you can get, and however you like to do it, just reattach your yarn down here on the bottom edge. And I'm going to go ahead and do a chain. Okay, so this is row 17. Super, super simple. What I'm doing is just making kind of a, I don't even know how to call it, just a distinction between the glove and the cuff. So all we're going to do is we're going to do a single crochet in the back loop only, all the way around, if I can get it in there. So regular single crochet, but in the back loop. Let's see, here's our stitch. You know, normally you go under both of them like that. So we have a front loop and we have a back loop. We're doing a single crochet, but just in that back loop. Single crochet back loop only. So go ahead and place a single crochet back loop only in each stitch around. I'm happy that we're working in the round again. I'm just more comfortable doing that. So one single crochet, back loop only, each stitch around. You should have 30 stitches. So do that, and when we get to the end of this row, we're going to start our cuff. Oops. Single crochet, back loop only, each stitch around. We'll slip stitch to join over here. I'll pick you up at the end. Okay, so we've been doing a single crochet back loop only all the way around, which will be a little transition between our glove and our cuff. So this is my 30th stitch right here. We'll just slip stitch to join. If you change, you can do it in that, or else just in your first stitch, doesn't matter. Go ahead and chain one. Now at this point, we're going to switch hook sizes. I started with a 6.5. I'm going to go down a whole hook size to a 5.5. I don't know if that's like a rule of crocheting when you do cuffs and brims, but I always go down at least a half the size, if not a whole size, to do my cuffs and my brims. So I'm switching to a 5.5. Now there's a couple of ways we can do the cuff. Normally when I do gloves or a hat, I do the single crochet, I chain out, and then I go up and down and do single crochet back loop only for that super ribbed look. Here's a cuff that's the single crochet back loop only. Super stretchy, very ribbed. I'm going to do it a different way just because it's easier, number one, and I think it looks better with this type of glove. Here's one that I've already finished. This is the type of cuff I'm doing, and it's simply several rows of front and back post double crochet. I think it's 5 or 6 rows. So, I mean, it's not quite as ribbed, but it's close. So either way that you would like to do your cuff, it's up to you. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to do the alternating front and back post double crochet cuff. If anyone would like to do the single crochet back loop only cuff, I've listed below 3 videos that are on my channel with timestamps as to where the instructions for that type of cuff begin. Just wanted to let you know. Cuff. So if you want to do it, follow along with me, the way we do that is to start, you have to do a row of just all regular double crochet to give you a base on which to do your alternating front and back post double crochets. So if you're doing the cuff like I'm doing it, go ahead and in each stitch around, just do a regular double crochet with your new smaller hook size. So each stitch, regular double crochet, each stitch around, you should have 30. And when we get back to the end, we'll slip stitch to join, and I'll join you there to start the alternating front and back post double crochets. So I'll see you for that. Okay, so I've already finished my row of just regular double crochet around to start our cuff. I slip stitched to join and I went ahead and chained 1. So now we're going to start several rows of alternating front post and back post double crochets to build out to make our cuff. We've already been doing front post double crochets, so you know how to do that. You just go in from the front, grab your yarn, pull it up, and finish off your double crochet. Now the back post, it's the same thing, except you go in from the back, around that post, grab your yarn, pull it up, and finish off your double crochet. So we're going to alternate front and back post double crochets in each stitch around. And we're going to do that for several rows. I think for about a 2-inch cuff, we're going to have to do maybe 5 rows. Of course, you can make it as wide or as short as you want, but I think I'm going to do about 5 rows. So alternate your front and back post double crochets, each stitch around. I'll join you at the end of this first time and then start you off on the next row to show you how I'm doing that. So I'll see you there. Okay, I finished my first row alternating front and back post. I went ahead and slip stitched to join, and I went ahead and chained 1. So a lot of times when you're doing this, you do the opposite. Like where there's a front post, you'll do a back post, and where there's a back post, you do a front post. But to get the ribbed look, we have to do the same thing. So we're still going to be alternating, but we're going to be doing the same stitch on top of the same stitch. So where there's a front post on the previous row, we're going to front post on top of that. Where there's a back post, we're going to back post on top of that. So basically the exact same thing as you did on the previous row, alternating front post, then back post, front post, then back post. And like I said, I think I'm going to do maybe 5 rows of these. Just till it gets the length and the proportion that you want it to have. Some people like a super wide cuff, so it's up to you. So front post, back post, front post, back post, double crochet all the way around. As many rows as you want to do. I'm going to do, I think, 3 or 4 more rows, and I will pick you up when I'm nearing the end to show you. So here's my finished glove. I ended up doing 5 rows of the alternating front and back post double crochets for my cuff, and it gave it about a 2-inch cuff. I think they just look fantastic. Thank you for joining me on this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed making this fingerless glove as much as I enjoyed showing you how. If you like this tutorial, please make sure you share it with all of your crochet friends and hit that subscribe button so you'll always get notified when the next video appears. As always, there'll be more to come. Until then, happy hooking!